Black Widow presents the latest 2025 sci-fi bloodbath. Jurassic World Rebirth crashes back to life. 17 years ago, a theme park tycoon poured billions into a secret base on St. Hubert Island, splicing DNA to forge new breeds of monsters. But arrogance always finds its punishment. One careless researcher tossed away a candy wrapper. That flimsy scrap got sucked into the gate's lock, short-circuiting the entire system. Alarms screamed. Lights died. Order collapsed. Scientists bolted like rats from a sinking ship. One didn't make it. The gate slammed shut, trapping him inside. His colleague fumbled for the keys, but out of the shadows, a gene-hacked T-Rex claw tore through the steel. The man vanished in an instant, dragged into the dark. Now? The glorious Jurassic Park lies in ruins. Climate shifts and plagues have butchered their numbers. The public moved on. Only the survivors remain, festering in the equatorial jungles, a forbidden zone no sane human dares to cross. And tonight, the silence breaks. That day, Parker Genetics sent their man, Martin Krebs. He tracked down Black Widow, a retired special ops soldier. His offer: assemble an elite squad and march into the dinosaur dead zone. The reason? Inside those beasts flows a genetic key, one that could stretch human life beyond its limits, and for Parker, a goldmine without end. Black Widow knew it stank of lies. She refused at first, but then Krebs named his price. A fortune so heavy it crushed her resistance. Temptation won. She agreed. Krebs brought her to the company's expert. The doctor laid it out. They needed blood from 3 giants: the Mosasaurus of the sea, the Titanosaur of the land, the winged pterosaur of the sky. And the samples had to be drawn alive. 3 realms, 3 monsters. Every attempt suicidal. The doctor himself would join as advisor and as witness to his own dark curiosity. Through Widow's call came one more ally, Old Black, an ex-Navy commando. His crew provided the ship, the only way to chase the Mosasaurus, the monster that had already slipped its leash. And with that, the blood hunt began. Parker Genetics cracked the chip data, their first target, the Mosasaurus. The doctor revealed the weapon: darts that pierce, drain blood, then eject skyward, parachutes carrying the samples back for recovery. But while the team prepared, fate struck elsewhere. Old Wang took his family sailing near the equator. Beneath the calm sun, the sea was waiting. The Mosasaurus hit, a colossal body smashing their sailboat apart. The family was thrown screaming into the water. Aji, the daughter's boyfriend, was trapped below deck. Wang shouted for him to grab the red radio pack. Aji forced the door open, but the wreck pinned him. From the deep, the monster surfaced. It saw him. It wanted him. Aji fought toward the boat, the shadow gaining fast. At the last second, he clawed onto the deck, the beast's roar swallowed by the sea. The family breathed, alive, barely. At dawn, Old Black caught Wang's signal, but by then, it was already too late. Their ship was 28 nautical miles off course and sailing the wrong direction, but Kanglong lurked barely 2 miles away. Some urged they find Kanglong first. Old Wang had a radio. Any passing vessel would surely respond, but Widow Sister opposed. After heated debate, they chose rescue. Soon, they spotted Old Wang's family adrift. With the team's help, they were saved. Old Wang told of yesterday's horrors. But before anyone processed it, the ship shuddered. Kanglong had struck first. The professor cried out, calling for Lao Hai. Plans snapped into motion. A syringe in hand, he bound himself to the bow. The beast's hide was 4 inches thick. Only a shot within 10 meters could pierce it. But closing in meant courting death. Kanglong dove, then exploded upward. A wall of spray blinded Widow Sister. The first shot went wide. She reloaded fast, but Kanglong smashed against the hull, the vessel cracking under its fury. Black Widow almost went overboard, the raging sea ready to swallow her whole, but the safety rope yanked her back, saving her life. The doctor rushed in, pulling her to her feet, just as the Mosasaurus rose again, jaws wide enough to tear the ship apart. In a desperate twist, Widow scrambled up the deck, seized her chance and fired. The dart pierced through its hide. A cheer broke out as the canister blasted into the sky, parachute opening, blood sample drifting down straight into the doctor's trembling hands. The first mission finally complete. But relief is always a lie. From the depths came new shadows. A swarm of ichthyosaurs, pack hunters bound to the Leviathan. Gunfire cracked across the waves, yet the beasts closed in. Then it happened. One shot from the water like a spear, its jaws locking around a girl. Her scream split the night as she was dragged under, her blood staining the waves red. The crew stood frozen in horror until the Mosasaurus crashed back to the surface, slamming the ship, nearly rolling it over. The deck tilted sharply. Another girl slid helplessly toward the edge, but Danson lunged forward, grabbing her hand at the very brink, holding her back from the abyss. Beneath the boat, ichthyosaurs circled, shadows twisting in the deep. One lunged, nearly tearing into the young girl. Danson seized the helm, forcing the vessel upright. Old Wang steered into the jagged reefs. The Mosasaurus, trapped in the shallows, could not follow freely. Escape seemed possible, but danger lingered. Blood seeped from Wang's leg. He ordered his eldest daughter to call for help. Martin Krebs snatched the radio. "This is illegal. Prison may be the least of our worries," he hissed. Chaos erupted. Xia toppled overboard. Krebs did nothing, watching as panic spread. Aji saw his girlfriend fall and dove after her, fighting the waves. Old Wang felt the ship breaking. Ignoring Widow's warnings, he grabbed his youngest daughter and leapt into the ocean. The Mosasaurus rammed the vessel, grinding it against the reefs. The hull splintered. Wang shouted for everyone to abandon ship. Finally, in one last act, he seized the wheel alone, steering at the beast, while Danson guided the battered boat toward shallows. The survivors escaped the Leviathan's grasp. The team dragged their supplies onto the beach, unaware of the lurking ichthyosaurs. One crew member, oblivious to the danger behind her, was suddenly dragged into the surf, disappearing beneath the waves. Old Wang and his family were luckier. All of them scrambled safely onto shore, but the group was now scattered from the main squad. Martin Krebs had prepared a contingency. If the ship's radio went silent for 24 hours, a helicopter would arrive at the island village at sunset the next day. But its window would be brief. They had to retrieve the remaining 2 blood samples before the sun disappeared. Under Widow's lead, the survivors entered the jungle, a maze of death and waiting teeth. Geothermal vents hissed across the island, and Wang deduced that following them would lead straight to the village. They pushed forward immediately. Through a shadowed path, the team advanced cautiously, but the jungle had more hunters. A massive python struck from the undergrowth, its coils snapping toward them. Krebs drank from a river, distracted, and a series of name tags gleamed above, heralding a new threat stalking the team. A crashed helicopter hung precariously in the trees, its pilot clutching a gun. He pried it loose with a branch, thinking it might come in handy later. That night, old Wang and Aji sat talking quietly. Wang had never thought much of Aji, but seeing him dive into the sea to save his daughter changed everything. This young man earned Wang's silent approval as a future son-in-law. In the dead of night, Aji stepped aside to relieve himself. Unaware, a raptor stalked him from behind. A winged predator intervened suddenly, dispatching the threat. Aji muttered in disbelief, grateful for the unexpected savior. By morning, Widow and the team spotted the titanosaur in the grass. Its massive tail swung like a python, yet it remained calm. The doctor approached, trembling, touching the living giant. Tears ran down his face at finally witnessing one alive. Seizing the moment, Widow fired, collecting the second blood sample. Amazingly, the titanosaur offered no resistance. Hundreds of giants roamed in harmony, a breathtaking spectacle. Meanwhile, another part of the team, the child had adopted a small herbivorous hypsilophodon, trailing behind as the group approached a massive tree. A misstep sent several tumbling down the hillside. A strange, pungent odor filled the air. The hypsilophodon hid instantly, sensing danger. Nearby lay a decaying dinosaur carcass, its stench thick and sour. Nina noticed a boat across the river. Reuben's injured leg left him immobile, so Nina waded through the water, crossing a rickety bridge only to see a partially devoured dinosaur corpse along the way. Suddenly, a sleeping Tyrannosaurus tumbled from the grass. Reuben shouted for it to retreat, but Nina ignored the warning and entered the boat cabin, dragging the hovercraft into the river. Thirst drew the T-Rex to the riverbank. Nina pushed the craft into the water, paddling furiously to the opposite shore. The group scrambled aboard, escaping along the winding river. Yet the beast was relentless. The Tyrannosaurus plunged into the water after them. Raging currents slowed its progress, but it continued the pursuit from the riverbank, snapping and charging, relentless and furious. The Tyrannosaurus lunged repeatedly, snapping at the water, trying to drag Reuben under, but each strike failed. They scrambled to 2 jagged rocks, only to realize the little girl was gone. She had clutched the rubber boat, hiding beneath its cover. The beast noticed immediately, tearing the inflatable apart. Reuben's heart sank, yet the girl surfaced, paddling toward him, alive. The T-Rex lunged again, but the narrow gap between the rocks trapped its jaws, giving them a tense, fleeting escape. Meanwhile, Widow and the team reached the cliff where winged predators soared. Ropes secured, they prepared their descent. Adult pterosaurs were too dangerous for direct blood sampling. The doctor suggested the eggs, safer and plentiful. They found the nest tucked into the jagged cliff. As they collected samples, a returning pterosaur spotted them, swooping down in fury. Huddled behind cover, they avoided detection. But another winged beast emerged from the cave, eyes locking onto the others. Martin Krebs and the team scrambled, dragging one another into safety as the hunt continued overhead. As they tried to pull a teammate to safety, the pterosaur snatched them into its jaws. Under relentless attack, 2 others dove into a narrow tunnel, barely escaping the predator. Its talons caught the rope, yanking the doctor from the cave. Quick reflexes from the team stopped his fall, but the rope snagged the syringe, sending him sliding down the cliff. Miraculously, the doctor reclaimed the blood sample, but at the worst moment the rope snapped. He plummeted over the edge. A massive tree and a deep pool broke his fall. Against all odds, he survived. Even more thrilling, the 3rd blood sample landed safely. Task complete, the squad raced toward the extraction point. At dusk, they met Reuben's family. Nina exposed Martin Krebs' crimes to Widow, but she hadn't yet processed it. The team restrained the furious girl. Krebs tried to justify himself, but the gun in his hand spoke louder than words. Suddenly, lights flickered on. Before anyone could react, mutated raptors dropped from above, sending the group into terror. Chaos ripped through the survivors. Some scattered indoors, while Widow and Martin Krebs crawled beneath a wrecked car. Krebs drew his pistol, firing wildly, but a raptor seized him and smashed him against the ground like a rag doll. Inside a market, another raptor burst through the ceiling. Reuben's family narrowly slipped away, diving into a sewer line to shake the predator. At the research facility, the doctor discovered a hidden tunnel stretching to the docks, the same passage Reuben's family had entered. Above, the thrum of helicopter blades cut the air. Rescue was near, yet fleeting. The doctor launched a flare, forcing the aircraft to circle back. But from the haze, a colossal beast emerged. A mutated pachycephalosaur lunged, its jaws crushing the chopper mid-descent. The explosion shattered all hope, leaving Duncan hollow with despair. Guided by Reuben's calls, the survivors dove deeper into the sewers. At that same moment, Krebs tore down the road in a stolen car. In the tunnels, Widow reunited with the group, just as a raptor lunged. Her reflexes were cold and swift. A hail of bullets dropped the beast at her feet. The survivors finally reached the docks, only to find a massive floodgate barring their path. Nina, small and fearless, slipped between the bars, risking everything as she climbed to the control console. But the mutated pachycephalosaur had tracked them. Its thunderous steps shook the ground, arriving just as the gate began to open. At that exact moment, Martin Krebs came barreling down the road in his car. The headlights sliced through the fog, drawing the monster's full attention. With one brutal swipe, the beast crushed the vehicle, then ripped Krebs apart, scattering blood across the docks. His steel briefcase clattered free, landing within Widow's reach. She seized it without hesitation. To buy them time, Duncan lit a flare, waving it high, luring the monster into the smoke. His sacrifice gave the others their only chance. Widow forced herself to turn away. The survivors launched their boat, sailing into the open sea. At dawn, a flare streaked across the horizon. Duncan was still alive. The samples, Widow vowed, would belong to humanity.